वेलकम स्टूडेंट्स, आपका यूट्यूब चैनल शंकर कोचिंग में स्वागत है। मैं प्रोफेसर प्रेम शंकर आज आपको 12th क्लास के स्टूडेंट को मैथ्स का चैप्टर नंबर 2 एनसीईआरटी बुक से इनवर्स ट्रिग्नोमेट्रिक फंक्शन पढ़ाऊंगा। आप इस वीडियो को अंत तक देखिए और अगर कोई आपको डाउट हो तो उसे कमेंट बॉक्स में लिखें और अगर आपको मेरा वीडियो पसंद आता है तो इसे लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें और अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करें। तो चलिए वीडियो स्टार्ट करते हैं। लेट्स स्टार्ट द चैप्टर इनवर्स ट्रिग्नोमेट्रिक फंक्शन। To study this chapter inverse trigonometric function, we will study about the introduction, then basic concept, then graphs, and then formula. The inverse trigonometric functions are like your sine inverse, cos inverse, tan, cot, sec, cosec inverse. This function we will discuss one by one, their graph, and then we will discuss the formula also. So suppose this sine x is equal to or y is equal to given sine x. So what is the inverse of this function? So this is simply x is equal to sine inverse y. Let's suppose I am taking one value. Suppose this x is equal to your sine 30 degree. That is equal to your half also. Sine 30 degree, that is equal to half. That means what? That means your sine inverse 30, or you can say sine inverse this pi by 6 is equal to half. So this you can say that the inverse of the function, any function, if you want to find the inverse, then we just put it like this, this sine, taking that function and power to the -1. So that is the inverse one. So mind it, in the case of inverse trigonometric function, suppose a function f is given. Suppose a function f is given and we want to find its inverse. If we suppose I want to find the inverse of this function, then how I find the f inverse of this one? So mind it, in this case, one thing that is important, that is the function must be 1, 1 and on 2. If the function is not 1, 1 and on 2, you cannot find the this inverse of the function. 1, 1 and on 2 means suppose those two functions are given, x and y function they given. So in that case, 1, 1 case means fx if you are taking, then you have the distinct element in the y and no element will be left in the function y. So that is 1, 1 and on 2. So this inverse trigonometric function, very useful function, and this is used into the science and engineering as well as in the this calculus. In the calculus, in the maths also, in which we are using calculus, and the calculus like integral. In the integral, this one is a very important one. Now we see the basic concept and graphs. So we draw the graph of trigonometric function as well as the inverse trigonometric function. We will discuss the graph of that one. So actually, to draw the graph, the main things are, you have to find where the function has a value 0, 1, -1, or the value is not defined. Not defined means that point is at infinity. So if you see the basic concept, so we will just discuss the domain and the range. We will discuss the domain and the range of the sine function, and then this inverse of sine function as well as the other functions also. So let's suppose I am taking the first of all I am taking the sine function, and then after that we will take the inverse of that one. So I am taking the function. So suppose sine function is there. Suppose the sine function. What will be the interval of the sine function? Means its range. Its range will be where its range. That range will be lies in between. It will lie into -1 and 1. The range will be lie in between. Then similarly, we have the cos. We have the cos, and the cos case also, the range lies between this -1 and 1. -1, 1, 1. Similarly, we have the tan and cot. Okay. For tan, the range will be lies between this r, but in this r, this will be not included. Then that x, that is x, and x is equal to your 2n plus 1. 2n plus 1 into pi by 2. Obviously, the n is what? This n is the this integer. So in this case, the range will be of tan function. This integral multiple of pi by 2, that will be not included, and its value will be also in this value will be also in the this real number. It is in between the real number. Then come to the cot. In the cot case, the range will be real, this range, but in this this x, where x is equal to n pi, so this will x is equal to n pi, that will be not included. X, where x is equal to n pi, that is not included. So obviously its value is also into the real number. So after that we have two more, that is sec. Sec is there, and then cosec is there. So in the sec also, the range is r, but its value will be not included. Where it is not, it will be x, where x is equal to 2n plus 1 pi by 2. So in this it will be not included, or we can say that it is in the real number r, and it is -1 and 1. Similarly, for the case of cosec, again its range is r, but not included. What will be not included? This will be not included in the case of what? X, where x is equal to how much? X is equal to n pi, and obviously this n is nothing but n is the integer. So that will be also, so it's the real number, and the -1 and 1, this will be not included. -1 and 1, this will be not included. So this is the case of what? This is the case of when the trigonometrical functions are given, like sin, cos, tan, cot, sec, cosec. Similarly, in the case of this inverse trigonometrical function, so inverse of the functions are, suppose sin y is equal to, suppose I am taking this y is equal to, I am taking y, this is equal to, I am taking the inverse case, this will be nothing but sin inverse x. This is the function, and its domain will be your how much? -1 and 1. -1 and 1. So and the range is equal to your pi by 2 and this minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. Minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. So we can say that what is here? Here is nothing but here is the function. Here is the function. And what is this one? This is domain. This is domain. And this value is nothing but this value of range. So this is the case of sin inverse x. Similarly, we can take the cos inverse x. So y is equal to this function is cos inverse x, and domain is equal to again -1 and 1. And what about the range? If the range is equal to your 0 and pi. 0 and pi will be the range. Now the next one is your this y. Y is equal to, I am taking this case of cosec inverse x. Cosec inverse x. So in the cosec inverse x also, what is the domain? Its domain will be your the real number minus -1 and 1. And what about its range? So range is again your this minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. But in this case, this 0 will be not included. This 0 will be not included. So this is the y is equal to cos inverse x. Now the next function is your y. Y is equal to your sec inverse x. Again in the sec inverse x, this is the domain will be real number, but your minus 1 and 1 it will be not included. And what about the range? Range is equal to how much? This range is equal to your this is 0 and pi. 0 and pi will be the range, but in this case your what? Minus pi by 2, this will be not included. Now the rest of 2 is there, 2 more is there, that is your tan inverse and this cot inverse x. So if y is equal to tan inverse x, then what will be its domain? Its domain will be the real number. And what about the range? The range is again it is equal to range. That will be your minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. This is the range. Similarly, for the cot inverse, so again y is equal to your cot inverse x. Cot inverse x. What will be its range? Its domain is the real number, and what will be its range? Its range will be 0 and pi. So hence we can say that for the sine function, this will be the this domain and the range, and then inverse function, these are the domain and the range. So these are very helpful in drawing the graphs of the function. We will draw the graphs. Graphs, we will draw the trigonometrical function as well as their inverse of that trigonometrical function. So we will draw the graphs of your first one is your this is your sine y is equal to your sine x, and y is equal to your then sine inverse x. Similarly, we will draw the graph of y is equal to cos x, and then y is equal to cos inverse x. Then we draw the graph y is equal to this cosec x, and y is equal to cosec inverse x. Then we will draw the graph of y is equal to sec x, and y is equal to sec inverse x. And lastly, we draw the graph, not lastly, second last, y is equal to your this tan x, and y is equal to your tan inverse x. Then lastly, y is equal to cot x, and y is equal to cot inverse x. So the first case, I will draw the graph of y is equal to sin x and y is equal to sin inverse x. For drawing the graph, you have to know where the function is value is 0, or where the function value is 1, minus 1, or not defined. Not defined means that point is at infinity. So I will take these two graph. I will take the two graph at a time. This time I am taking what? I am taking the y is equal to sin x, sin inverse x, then we have the cos x and cos inverse x. So for drawing the graph, I will start with this y is equal to sin x and y is equal to this sin inverse x. So I will draw the graph of that one. So for that, I'm taking what? I'm taking the graph of y is equal to sin x and y is equal to sin inverse x, that is like this, suppose. So I will draw the graph of first y is equal to sin x, and then I will draw the graph of y is equal to sin inverse x. Mind it, in the case of inverse, only this coordinate axis changes. X changes into y and y changes into x. So first of all, let's suppose I am drawing the graph of y is equal to sin x. y is equal to sine x. I'm drawing this. I want to draw the graph of this one. Y is equal to sine x. So let's suppose this is x-axis and this is your y-axis. Since this is y is equal to sine x, means on the x-axis I am taking the angle. Okay, so obviously this point is nothing but this is 1, and here the value is at this point is minus 1. As I told you, for drawing the graph, 3 things are necessary. First things, you have to see where the value, what are the values are there. So where the values are. So here the 1 and minus 1. I want to draw the graph of this one. So let's suppose this is pi, and here it is, let's suppose 2 pi, and at this point let's suppose it is 3 pi. Similarly here it is minus pi, it is here minus 2 pi, here it is minus 3 pi. So I want to draw the graph of this one. So you will find that what? You will find at the value pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and this minus pi, minus 2 pi and minus 3 pi, the values of this y is equal to sine x is 0. So the graph, and the maximum point is going to be 1. So I will draw the graph in this way, suppose. So the graph will be like this. This will be very simply, it will be like this. At pi, at the 2 pi, the values are going to be 0. Similarly here, this point is nothing but this point. If you see this point, so this is your pi by 2. This point is pi by 2. Now, similarly, the values which are going here, it will be at this point. This is minus 1 value. So the graph of this function is like this. It will simply like this. So this is the graph of this y is equal to sine x. Now come to the graph of y is equal to sine inverse x. So for finding the graph of sine inverse x, what I will do, I will just change this angle on the y and then values on the x. So the graph of y is equal to sine inverse x. I want to draw the y is equal to graph of y is equal to sine inverse x. Okay. So for sine inverse x, I want to draw the graph. So let's suppose this is your x-axis and this is y-axis, x-axis and y-axis. So angle I am taking where? Angle I am taking on the y, I am taking angle. So this is, let's suppose this is your pi, this is 2 pi and this is 3 pi. Similarly here also, this is minus, this is your pi, this is 2 pi and this is your 3 pi. Similarly here it is this is your minus pi, then at this point your minus 2 pi, and here it is your minus 3 pi, like this. Now I want to draw the graph of this y is equal to sine inverse x. Mind it, the values at the pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, or minus pi, minus 2 pi, minus 3 pi, the values are 0. Okay, so so I will draw the graph. Like this. Let's suppose the value at this point is, suppose this is 1, and at this point it is minus 1. So graph will be the graph will be there. The graph will simply, it will be like this. It is like this. Then it is like this. At this values, this is the values where the values are minus 1, and this is the value where this is the value is 1. Okay. So this will be the, very simply the graph will be, then the graph will be like this. It will be like this. It will be like this. So this is the graph of y is equal to sine x and y is equal to sine inverse x. Now next come to the graph. At a time I am taking the 4 graphs I am taking, means 2 at a time. So now the next one is what? Next one is simply your y is equal to this is cos x, and then y is equal to this is your nothing but cos inverse x. Cos x and cos inverse x. So first of all, I will draw the graph of y is equal to cos x. So for drawing the graph of cos x, I am taking this way. Suppose this is coordinate axis I am taking. This is the coordinate axis. These are the coordinates. I want to draw the graph of y is equal to cos x. So let's suppose this is coordinate x, this is coordinate y, and at this point this is your pi, this point is 2 pi, and here it is 3 pi. Similarly, at this point this is your minus pi, this point is minus 2 pi, and then here it is minus 3 pi. And I want to draw the graph of this one. Mind it, at this pi by 2, at the pi by 2 the values will be what? The value will be. So I am taking what? At this point the value is going to be how much? The value will be going to the 1. And similarly, at this point the value will be given to the minus 1. That means what? That means at the case of this pi, this value is so all at the middle point the value will be going to be, some values will be there. Here also some value will be there. So how to plot the graph of this y is equal to cos x? So I will plot the graph like this. Suppose at the midpoint here it is. So the graph will be how much? The graph will be like this. This will be your like this. This is here, and similarly at this point this is like this. Then I will take what? I will take this values here. So at the pi by 2 the value is going to be 0. At the pi by 2 the value is going to be 0. Okay. So at this point 0, cos of 0 is equal to 1. So obviously the value will be here, it will be 1. And here it is what? It is the minus 1. So I will take the middle points, and there the value is 1 and minus 1. So it will be your at the pi. Okay. So how do we plot that one? So it will be at the pi. So it will be at the pi is going to be how much? It will be going to be 1. So the graph will be something like this. Right? So this is graph will be something like this. Now come to the next one. That is y is equal to cos inverse x. So cos inverse x, nothing to do. We have to change this coordinate x to angle, and then this coordinate y to angle, and x is number. Okay. So the graph will be something like this. I'm taking this way. Okay. So this is your. Okay. So on the x-axis you have the what? We have the value of this 1 is there. Value 1 is there at this point. This is 1, and this at here it is minus 1. 1 and minus 1. Okay. Then at this point this is 1, this is minus 1. So this is, let's suppose, your pi. Here it is 2 pi. Here it is your 3 pi. Then at this point this will be how much? This will be your minus pi. Here it is minus 2 pi, and then minus 3 pi. Values are 1 and minus 1. I want to draw the graph. So how to draw it? Also draw it. Obviously, how much it will be? It will be your, this is at the middle. It will be going to be this at the point pi. This will be going to be how much? This is going to be 1. Okay. So this graph will be like this. 0 will be there. So obviously the graph will be This will be something like this. This will be something like this. This will be this is like this. So this is the case of y is equal to cos of inverse x. This is obviously this is the x coordinate and this is your y coordinate. Thanks. Now next we will draw the graph of cosec x and their inverse, sec x and their inverse. So first of all, I am taking the graph of this cosec x, y is equal to this y is equal to cosec x. For that I am taking the graph of this one. And next I will take the graph of y is equal to cosec inverse x, cosec inverse x. So as I told you, for the drawing the graph, one thing very important, and that is what? That is, you must know the values where the values are 0, where the values are 1, and where the values are minus 1. If the value is not defined, it means that that point is where that point is at infinity. Okay, so first of all, I want to draw the graph of y is equal to cosec x. So for y is equal to cosec x, so I am taking this in this way. Suppose I am taking this way. In this way I am taking y is equal to cosec x. Let's suppose this is pi and let's suppose this is 2 pi. And at this point the value is this is your minus pi. So we have the pi, 2 pi and then minus pi. So how to draw the graph of y is equal to cosec x? This is your x-axis. This is nothing but this is the y-axis. So this y is equal to what? Cosec x. See, so then what is here? Y is equal to cosec x. So that is equal to your 1 upon sin x. So this is not defined at what? This is not defined at x is equal to your n pi. For n pi it is not defined. Okay. So since n pi it is not defined, so this is your minus pi at this point. This will be not defined. Then at this point also pi not defined. Then at 2 pi, and this also the function is your this 2 pi also not defined. And one thing I told you, you must know the where are the values 1 and minus 1. So let's suppose this is 1. So obviously this is nothing but this is your this is minus 1. This is 1 and this is minus 1. Okay. So if put the values here, this x is not equal to n pi. That means it is not defined at 0 or then pi, then 2 pi, and here you can see it is not defined at minus pi also. Okay. So at the 0 it is not defined. So value is how much? But the value is given what? Value is given at this point. The value is given what? The value is given so at pi by 2, the value is given what? The value is given pi by 2. This value is given here. It is 1. Okay. Now it is not defined at 0 and at pi. So here the graph will be in this way. This is the graph. This is the graph of this function. Not defined means that point is going to where? That point is going to be infinity. Similarly, the value will be at this point, it will be your minus 1. This is your 1, so this value is your minus 1. Okay, and this value is again not defined for pi and for 2 pi. So I can draw the graph like this. This will be not defined at pi, and this is also not defined by pi, and at the value how much? 3 pi by 2, the value is going to be minus 1. Similarly, at the point here, it is your how much? Minus pi by 2. So minus pi by 2, the value is what? The value is again this is minus 1. So this is the some value where so this is minus pi by 2 at this point. And at this point, what is there? The value is your going to be minus 1. But it is not defined for what? For here, if you put the 0 at 0 and put it minus 1, so at minus 1, it is not defined. So the graph will be something like this. So this will be like this. Like this. Find it. What does this point shows? This point shows that point is at infinity. That point is where? That point is at infinity. Okay. Now, next one, y is equal to cosec inverse x. So, mind it for cosec inverse x again. In this case, I'm just I'm taking on the y-axis. I will take the angle, and x-axis I will get the what is its value. So, for y cosec inverse x, for drawing this one, y is equal to how much? Y is equal to your this cosec inverse x. So how to draw that one? Y is equal to cosec inverse x. Okay, so let's suppose I want to draw the y is equal to this cosec inverse x. Cosec inverse x. Okay. So this is how much? This is pi. This is your pi. This is 2 pi. And here it is what? Here it is minus pi. Pi 2 pi minus pi. And mind it, the values are this 1 and minus 1. So if you take on the x-axis, this is x-axis and this is y-axis. So when you take the x-axis, numbers and means its value, and on the y-axis, the angles are given. Okay. So see here, y is equal to cosec x is equal to 1 by sin x. So it is not defined for x is equal to n pi. For n pi it will be not defined. Okay, so I'm taking here 1, here I'm taking the minus 1. So for n pi it is not defined, mind it, n pi it is not defined. So n 0, so it is 0, and 1, so here 1, 2, here it is minus 1. So at these points it is not defined. Okay, so this is your minus pi, then at this pi also it is not defined. Then at the 2 pi, it is also not defined. Now, I am taking the value here. What is the value here? It will be in between. This is the pi by 2. Pi by 2. So, at the pi by 2, what is the value? Value will be your, this pi by 2, the value will be 1 here. So, 1 at the pi by 2. And for these 2 points, it will not define. So, obviously, this will be like this. It is going to be meeting at infinity. Here also it is going to be meeting, this point will be going to be meeting where? Infinity. And what is this point? This is pi by 2. This point is your pi by 2. At the pi by 2, the value is 1. Now come to the next pi and 2 pi. Okay. So at this point, this is what? This will be your 3 pi by 2. This is nothing but 3 pi by 2. At the 3 pi by 2, the value is how much? The value is minus 1. The value will be minus 1. Okay, so when x is going to be this is value of 1, and at this infinity, it is going to be infinity at pi, and it is also going to be infinity at 2 pi. Infinity at 2 pi. Then come to the next one. That means where? Suppose this is 0, this is pi. So obviously this point will be how much? Here it is minus 1. So at point minus pi by 2, it is the minus pi by 2, and it is not defined. So pi by 2. So when this is at pi by 2, the value is minus 1, and it is not defined for pi and not defined for 0. Not defined means what? That point is going to be at infinity. Here it is also, this point is going to be infinity. So this is the graph of this y is equal to cos x, and then y is equal to your cosec inverse x. So now I will take the graph of y is equal to this sec x, and then y is equal to sec inverse x. So this is your y, and this y is equal to how much? The y is equal to, I am taking, this time I am taking sec x, and here y is equal to, I am taking the graph y is equal to your this sec inverse x, sec inverse x. See, again I am repeating, not defined means that point is at infinity. So for the sec x, I will take for the case of the sec x. So for the sec x, what will be there? It will be, suppose the graph, I am taking the coordinate axis. Coordinate axis I am taking. This is the coordinate axis. This suppose this is the x-axis. This one is your x-axis. Okay, so this is your x-axis. This one is your x-axis. This is x, and this axis is your, this is the y-axis. Now, so drawing the graph again, I will take the, suppose at this point it is pi, and at this point it is 2 pi. And here it is what? Here it is your minus pi. Okay. So I have to give it y is equal to what? Y is equal to, it is given sec x. Y is equal to sec x, that is equal to 1 upon cos x. Cos x. So y is equal to, given your 1 by cos x is given. So since y is equal to cos x is given, that means this term cos x will be not equal to 0, otherwise it is going to be infinity. So in this case, what is the value of this x? So x must be not equal to your 2n plus 1 into pi by 2. It should be not equal to, means it should be not equal to your integral multiple. Integral multiple. Okay. Now I am taking the values here. Suppose this value is your 1, and here the values is getting your minus 1. Okay, 1 on minus 1. Now integral multiple is equal to your 0. So integral multiple are here minus pi. So it is here nothing but your, this is minus pi by 2. Here you will take the, what is here will be your plus, this is your plus pi by 2, and this is here 2 pi on pi. This is your nothing but 3 pi by 2, like this. Okay. So at this point, pi by 2, then 3 pi by 2 and minus pi by 2, this is not defined. Okay. So now let's take the case of this one. First of all, I will take the value. So you see here, this is what at this point, the value is how much? 0. So value is 0 at this point, but it is not defined for, minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. So your graph will be something like this. This will be something like this. Your graph will be. This indicate what? This two indicate that what? That is on the infinity. That point is where? That point is infinity. Similarly, if I will take the value this pi, so at the pi value is how much? The value is minus 1. At this point, the value is what? The value is minus 1. So again, it is not defined where? It will be not defined at pi by 2. It will be not defined at pi by 7. So this is one. This is your minus pi by 2 point. Here it is what? Here it is your pi by 2 point. And similarly here it is 3 pi by 2. Integral multiple there. So at the pi value is what? Minus 1. And it is not defined where? It will be not defined at the pi by 2 and 3 by 2. So their graph will be something like this. This will be something like this. This will be the graph. Because at this point, pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2, this is not defined, means that point is at infinity. Similarly, if we will take, suppose this is the 2 pi, and at the 3 pi by 2, it is not defined. Okay. So since it is not defined at the this 3 pi by 2, so the point I can take what? This point I can take in this way, but the value at 3 pi by 2, so it will be something like this. This will be the graph. This will be the graph where this point is equal to 1. Okay. Similarly for this minus pi by 2, here it is minus pi by 2 and minus pi, and here it is minus. At the minus pi by 2, again it is what? It is not defined. So I can draw the graph like this. It will be, this is. One thing you must remember in your mind, Okay, these points shows what? Since these points are not defined, it shows what? It shows that that point is not where that point is at infinity. Now come to the y is equal to sec inverse x. So for the y is equal to sec inverse x, I will just change the axis and y coordinate axis. I will change the coordinate axis. Okay, so let's suppose I am taking this y axis and this as a x axis. So I want to draw this one. Okay, so obviously this point is your pi, this is your 2 pi, and this point is nothing but this point is your minus pi. This is minus pi. Find it. I have written here y is equal to sec x. So y is equal to this sec x, so is equal to 1 by cos x, and this means cos x is equal to 0. That is what? That is x is not equal to 2n plus 1 into pi by 2. Okay. So these are the integral multiple. So I can take the values here. This is, let's suppose value is 1 and here it is the value is minus 1. 1 and minus 1. At the integral point it is not defined, means where it is not defined. It is not defined at this pi by 2. Then it will be not defined at this 3 pi by 2 because this is the integral multiple. Similarly, at this point also it will be not defined. Okay. So it will be not defined at where? It will be not defined for 0, then for minus pi by 2, and this 3 pi by 2. So what is the value of 1? See, this is my x-axis and this is y-axis. If you put the value here, x is equal to 0, so this point is 1. Okay, it is not defined for what? For minus pi by 2 and this pi by 2. So their graph will be something like this. This will be the graph. This is something like this. This graph. This line shows what? This line shows that that point is at infinity. Okay, that point is at infinity. Now the next one is at the pi by 2. This is what this will be. This is pi. Okay. So what is the value of pi? This is the value of pi. Here you will what? Here will the minus 1 at the value pi minus 1, but it is not defined at where. It will be not defined at. See, I am writing their points there. See, this is minus pi by 2. Okay, this is nothing but this is your pi by 2. Then this is your 3 pi by 2. Okay, so at the value pi, value is what? Minus 1. So value is coming to be something here. This is your something here. It is the minus 1. But it is not defined where. It will be, it is not defined at this pi by 2 and 3 by 2. So the value will be like this. So I will draw the graph like this. This will be the graph. Okay. Now, let's suppose at this point, see, in the case of 2 pi. Okay. So in the case of 2 pi, it is not defined where. It is not defined it will not define at 3 pi by 2. So your graph will be, or this graph will be something like this. This will be something like this. Then it is also not defined at where. It will be not defined at this minus pi. Okay. So the graph will be something like this. Not defined at minus pi by 2. So it will be the graph will be something like this. It is meeting at what? It is meeting at infinity like this. It is meeting at infinity. Okay. So this is the graph of your cosec and sec and their inverse. Now we see the graph of your this y is equal to 10x and then tan inverse x. So then lastly y is equal to cot x and y is equal to cot inverse x. So let us suppose I am taking y. This y is equal to, this time it is your 10x, and I will take the next one as a y is equal to tan inverse x. So first of all I am taking the y is equal to 10x. So y is equal to, for 10x it will be like this. Y is equal to, for 10x I want to draw the graph. So first of all I will take what? First of all I will take the x-axis. I will take the x-axis and then y-axis. So in the x-axis This is your x-axis, and I want to draw the graph. Okay, let's suppose this is your pi, this point is your 2 pi, and here it is your, this is your minus pi. Pi, 2 pi and minus pi. Okay. Now, see here, y is equal to how much? Y is equal to your 10x. That is equal to your sin x by cos x. So this cos x is not equal to 0. So hence I can say that x is not equal to 2n plus 1 into pi by 2. Means it will be not the integral multiple of x. That is, it means what? That it will be not defined at where? It is not defined at the pi by 2. It will not define at the 3 pi by 2. 3 pi by 2. And it is not defined at here how much? It will be not defined here at the minus pi by 2. Okay. So it is not defined where? It will not define at this is your pi by 2. This will be not defined at minus pi by 2, then pi by 2, and then your 3 pi by 2. It will be not defined. And what is the value? So value at this pi by 2 is nothing but at this point pi by 2, it will be going to be infinity. Okay. So here if you do the pi, so value will be equal to 0. Similarly, if you take the value 0, so in that case also it's going to be 0. Okay. Similarly, if you take the minus pi, at this pi, minus pi also the value to 0. Okay. So at the point integral multiple it will not define. So means it will be not defined at where? It will not define at pi by 2 and so it will be not defined at this pi by 2 and minus pi by 2. So the graph will be something like this. Is something like this. This is obviously this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. Similarly, at the pi, the value is how much? The value is going to be 0. So at the 3 pi by 2, it is not defined. So this is the graph will be something like this. Because at 3 pi by 2 it is not defined. At the pi the value is 0. At pi by 2 it is not defined. So not defined means that point is going to be at infinity. Similarly, if I take the 2 pi, in the 2 pi also the value will be going to how much? The value will be going to be 0. That is the x-axis. And this it is not defined at 3 pi by 2. So the graph will be something like this. So this will be the graph. At the 3 pi by 2 it will be not defined. Now come to the pi by 2. At the pi by 2 also it will be not defined, but the value at minus pi is how much? The value at minus pi is equal to 0, but pi by 2 it is not defined. So the graph will be minus pi by 2, which is not defined. So the graph will be something like this. This will be, again I am repeating, this point shows what? This point shows that these points are at infinity. Now the next one is 10x, already I had explained you. Now the next one is y is equal to this y, this is equal to your tan inverse x. Tan inverse x. So for the tan inverse x, I will change what? I change the only axis I will change. So it will be something like this. This is your x-axis. This is x-axis. And let's suppose this one is your y-axis. This is y-axis. Let's suppose this is x. Sorry, this is pi. This is pi, and here it is, let's suppose 2 pi, and at this point it is your minus pi. Now I had already told you that 10x sin x by cos x, so this must not be 0, that is x is not equal to 2n plus 1 pi by 2. So 2n plus 1 pi by 2 means at the integral point it will be not defined. Okay, so I'm taking this points, integral points I'm taking here. So this is what, this is your minus pi by 2, this is at the pi by 2, then this is nothing but this is your 3 pi by 2. So for that case, I am taking the y is equal to 10 inverse x. So what are the values here? Mind it, so value here it is your, at this point, this value is 0. We had seen here 0, this point. Then also at this point also, the value will be 0. This point also, the value will be 0. So I will take the first 0. So this is what, this is your pi by 2. This point is your, this is minus, this is your minus pi by 2. This is pi by 2, and this is your how much? 3 pi by 2. Now at this point it is 0. So the graph will be something like this. The pass through this one. Not defined at pi by 2 integral multiple, and also not defined at minus pi by 2, so it is not defined at minus pi by 2. Now for the case of pi, again the value of this function is going to be 0. Okay, so it will be not defined at it will not defined at this is 3 by 2, and it will pass through pi, it will pass through pi, and it will be how much? It will be not defined at pi by 2. Now come to the minus pi, the value is your 0, not defined at pi by 2, so your graph will be something like this. Again 2 pi, the value will be your 0, the value will be 0, and it is not defined for 3 pi by 2, so thus this is going to be here. This is 3 pi by 2, it is not defined. Not defined is what? That point is at infinity. Now I will take the next one, that is cot x and cot inverse x. So I'm writing here y is equal to, that is the last one is, this is your cot x. So y is equal to this cot x. So cot x means what? This is your cos x divided by sin x. So sin x must not be equal to 0, indicate that what? X is not equal to n pi. So for cot x, so I will draw the coordinate axis. Let's suppose this is what? This is the x coordinate. This is the x coordinate here. This is your y coordinate. This is your y coordinate, and this is the x coordinate. So this is your pi. This is pi. This is your 2 pi. And obviously this point is minus pi. What is written here? It is here that at x is equal to n pi, it is not defined. Cot x is not defined. So this is your pi. This is 2 pi, and this is your minus pi. This will be your thing, but this is your minus pi. Okay. And let's suppose the values here are, this is 1, 2, here it is something like this, minus 1, and minus 2 like this. See, so for pi by 2 case, it is here, it is pi by 2, and this pi by 2, the cot of pi by 2 is how much? It is your 0. So for 0 it is not defined. So this graph will be something like this. This will be something like this. Going to be that. This point is where? This point is at infinity. This point is at infinity. Okay. So this point is pi by 2. At the pi by 2, the value is 0. Similarly, for the 3 pi by 2, this is 0.3 pi by 2, and this point also, the value of cot is equal to 0. So the graph will be of something like this. This will be something like this, and this will be the graph. At cot 3 pi by 2, the value is going to be 0. Similarly here, for this minus pi by 2, the value is going to what? The value is going to be, at this point is going to 0. But at minus pi, the points are at infinity. So the graph will be something like this. This will be. something like this. Okay, obviously this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. Now the last one is your this cot inverse x. So I will take the last one, that is your y. Y is equal to how much? Cot inverse x. Cot inverse x. So you can see here the y is equal to cot x, that is cos x by sin x, and sin x is not equal to 0, that is x is not equal to n pi, where n is the integers. I will draw further drawing this graph. Let's suppose this one is the x-axis, this is the x-axis, and this is, let's suppose this is the x-axis, and this is my y-axis, this is y-axis, x-axis and y-axis. So for inverse case, only the thing that is you have to keep in your mind that whatever on the x, that will change it into the y, whatever on the y, that will change into the x. So for x, this is your how much? This is your pi, this is 2 pi, and this one is nothing but minus pi. So I have told you here y is equal to cot x divided cos x by sin x. Sin x, if sin x is equal to 0, it is not defined. That is, x is not equal to n pi. Okay. So n pi means it will be not defined at 0, it will be not defined at pi. This will be not defined at 2 pi, and this not defined at minus pi. Minus pi. Okay. Now these are the points. So this is your minus pi by 2, this is pi by 2, and this point is nothing but 3 pi by 2. Okay. Now we have to draw the graph. Mind it. For the cot pi is 0, for 2 pi is 0, cot minus pi also it is 0. So this is 3 pi by 2 0, and after 2 pi it is not defined. So the graph will be something like this. So this point is your 2 pi. This is your what? This is your 3 pi by 2. This is 3 pi by 2. So at the 3 pi by 2 middle of this one, this is not defined. So the graph will be something like this. This will be the graph will be something like this. These parallel lines shows that the points are at infinity. Similarly for pi by 2 is to 0. So the graph will be like this. It will be like this. So it will be like this. Similarly for minus pi by 2, this point is your minus pi by 2. So for minus pi by 2, the value is 0. The graph will be something like this. This will be here 0, and this is going to where? This is going to be at infinity. So this is all about this graphs. One thing I want to explain, that the points which is parallel to these lines shows that that point is on the infinity. See the formulas of this trigonometrical functions. We'll discuss one by one in a group. We'll see the inverse trigono, then reciprocal of means 1 by x of the inverse, then negative of x of that inverse, then we'll see the pi by 2 rule something, then we'll see the relation between this tan inverse x, tan inverse y, then 2 of inverse, then 3 of inverse. Now the first one is your inverse trigono. So what are the formulas for that? For the formula of that is your simply your this sine into this sine inverse x. This is equal to your x, or your this sine inverse sine x. This is also equal to x. Likewise, we will see the other functions also, like cos. In the case of cos of inverse x is equal to your x, or your this cos inverse cos, this is equal to x. Similarly, the other trigonometrical function. Then I will come to the reciprocal. So this is for the reciprocal case. for the reciprocal. For the reciprocal, I have the formulas like sine inverse 1 by x is equal to cosec inverse x. Similarly, I have this cos of cos inverse 1 by x. This is your sec inverse x. Similarly, you have this tan inverse x. Tan inverse 1 by x. This is equal to your cot inverse x. So these are the for the reciprocal case. I am giving the proof of one. Let's suppose I am taking this one. This I am taking. So what I am taking here, for this I am taking cosec inverse. Let's suppose your cosec inverse x, that is equal to your y. Cosec inverse x is equal to y. Then what is the value of x? This x is equal to your cosec y. X is equal to cosec y, or I can say that 1 by x is equal to your sine of y. So 1 by x is equal to your sine by y, and for your this one, or y is equal to how much? Sine inverse 1 by x. So sine inverse 1 by x, that is equal to y. Y I had assumed what? Cosec inverse x. So it is your nothing but your cosec inverse x is equal to your sine inverse 1 by x. Similarly, we can prove the others also, like cos inverse 1 by x. This we can prove. So this is the case of the reciprocal. Then we will come to this negative x of the negative x. So in the negative x, we have the formula. Suppose this is sine inverse x, sine inverse minus x. I am taking minus x. That will be equal to how much? Minus of sine inverse x. Sine inverse minus x is equal to minus sine inverse x. Similarly, I can take tan inverse x, tan inverse minus x, tan inverse minus x, and then you have the cosec inverse minus x. Cosec inverse minus x. So this will be equal to how much? This will be equal to your minus of what? Minus of tan inverse x. This is the minus of tan inverse x, and this is your minus of cosec inverse x. Similarly, for the negative case, I can take what? Cos inverse minus x, cos inverse minus x, sec inverse minus x, and cot inverse minus x. If I will take the negative of x in this case, we will get what? We will get the pi minus these values. So this is your pi minus cos of inverse x, pi minus sec of inverse x, pi minus cot of inverse x. So this is the negative x of the trigonometry. Now there is the one pi by 2. So suppose I am taking the pi by 2. So for the pi by 2 case, there are 3 cases are there. In the first one, you have what? You have the sine inverse x plus cos inverse x is equal to pi by 2. Sine and cos. Similarly, you have what? You have the tan inverse x plus how much? Cot inverse x. This is your cot inverse x is equal to pi by 2. And lastly, we have the cosec inverse x plus cosec inverse x plus sec inverse x is equal to pi by 2. So these are the pi by 2 formulas. Okay. Now next I will see the tan inverse x, and next one is the relation between tan inverse x and tan inverse y. This I will discuss. So the value of this tan inverse x plus tan inverse y is equal to how much? This is equal to your tan inverse x plus y divided by 1 minus xy. So how to prove this one? This is the proof of also. Let's suppose your this tan inverse x is equal to, let's suppose it is theta, and your this tan inverse y is equal to, let's suppose this is equal to your phi. Then tan of theta plus phi, this is equal to how much? This is equal to your tan of theta plus tan of phi 1 minus tan theta into tan phi. Now put the values. If you put the value, you will get what? You will get tan of theta plus phi. This is equal to your how much? This is x is equal to your tan theta, and here y is equal to tan of phi. If you put the value, you will get what? You will get here x plus y divided by 1 minus xy. So this indicate theta plus phi is equal to tan inverse x plus y divided by 1 minus xy, or this theta I can write it how much? Tan inverse x. So tan inverse x plus tan inverse y, this is equal to your tan inverse x plus y divided by 1 minus x. Similarly, let's suppose I am interested in finding tan square x minus here. So wherever the plus sign is there, I will change that into minus, and minus I will change that sign into plus. So this is your minus, here also minus. This will be minus, this will be plus. This is minus, here it will be minus. This will be plus. This is your minus, this is your minus, and this is your plus. So I can change the formula. Tan inverse x minus tan inverse y is equal to tan inverse x minus y divided by 1. Now we will see the formula of this 2 of trigono, 3 of trigono. 2 of trigono means the formula for 2 sin inverse x, 2 cos inverse x, then 2 tan inverse x. For 3 case, 3 of trigono means 3 sin inverse x, 3 cos inverse x, and 3 tan inverse x. So I am writing the formulas I am writing. I am discussing this. This I am discussing at a time. I am just writing the formulas. I have here 2 of trigono, and here I have 3 of trigono. So I have the formulas 2 of trigono means 2 sin inverse x, 2 cos inverse x, 2 tan inverse x. So 2 sin inverse x is nothing but it is your sin inverse 2x under root 1 minus x square. 2 cos inverse means cos inverse 2x is there, so it will be your x square minus under root 1 minus x square. Similarly, for 2 tan inverse x, the formulas are sin inverse, how much? This will be your 2x divided by sin inverse 2x divided by how much? 2x divided by 1 plus x square. Similarly, it is your cos inverse x square minus 1, not x square minus, it should be your 1 minus x square divided by 1 plus x square. So 1 minus x square divided by 1 plus x square, and tan inverse x, this tan inverse x is equal to 2x, tan inverse into 2x divided by how much? 1 minus x square. So these are the formulae for 2 of this trigono. Now 3 of trigono means this is your how much? This is your 3 sin inverse x. 3 sin inverse x is equal to how much? Sin inverse, how much? This will be your sin inverse, this is your 3x minus 4x cube, and this 3 of this cos inverse x. 3 of cos inverse x is equal to cos inverse 4x cube minus 3x. Then come to the 3 tan inverse x. That is equal to your tan inverse x cube, not x cube. How much will be it is? This will be your 3x minus x cube divided by how much? 1 minus 3x square. So these are the important formula for 2 of trigono, means 2 of the inverse, 3 of trigono means 3 of the inverse. So I am taking, I will prove few formulas I will prove. So I am proving this one, first one. 2 sin inverse x is equal to sin inverse 2x under root 1 minus x square. So I want to prove this one. 2 sin inverse x is equal to sin inverse 2x under root 1 minus x square. This I want to prove. So let's suppose I am putting here sin inverse x. Sin inverse x is equal to this is equal to, let's suppose sin inverse x is equal to this I am putting as a theta. Then what is the meaning of sin theta here? Sin of theta is equal to x. So if I put the values, now I will take the formula, one formula, that is your suppose sin of 2 theta. The formula is what? Sin of 2 theta is equal to 2 sin theta into cos of theta. This is the formula. So if I put the values, so this means what? Sin of 2 theta is equal to 2 sin theta, that is x, cos theta is equal to under root 1 minus x square. Sin theta 2x under root 1 minus x square. So what is the value of 2 theta? Then 2 theta is equal to how much? 2 theta is equal to your sin of inverse 2x under root 1 minus x square. So I can write 2 into sin inverse x is equal to sin inverse 2x under root 1 minus x square. Similarly, the 3 of trigono means 3 of the inverse, like sin, cos, tan. Similarly, I am taking the first one to prove So I'm taking that this I want to prove in this case 3 sin inverse x is equal to sin inverse 3x minus 4x cube. So let's suppose I am putting what? I am putting the sin inverse x is equal to theta. So that meaning of that one is your sin theta is equal to x. Sin theta is equal to x. Now I will use the formula sin of 3 theta. So sin of 3 theta is equal to how much? This is equal to 3 sin theta minus 4 sin cube theta. Sin 3 theta is equal to 3 sin theta minus 4 sin cube theta. Now I will put the values. So how much I will get? I will get sin of 3 theta is equal to how much? 3x minus 4x cube, or 3 theta is equal to sin of inverse 3x minus 4x cube. Theta again I can write it how much? Sin inverse x. So that means your 3 of sin inverse x is equal to sin inverse 3x minus 4x cube. 4x cube. So in this way, given the proof of 2 sin inverse x, in this way we can do the proof of this one also. 2 cos inverse, 2 tan inverse, 3 cos inverse and 3 tan inverse. Thanks for watching. If you have any doubt, write in the comment box. If you like the content of video, please like, subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you very much.